Welcome to another edition of DX Engineering Videos. We're here at DX Engineering in Tallmadge, Ohio today, and we'd like to welcome our new employee. It's Mike, KC8NMW. Welcome, Mike.
I thank you very much, Tim. Glad to be here.
Well, we're very excited about you joining the DX Engineering Sales and Customer Support team, which is one of our pride and joys here at DX Engineering, and we have a lot of longtime employees, but you've had a good career in amateur radio, and why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about your career?
Well, in 2006, I was hired by Amateur Electronic Supply in Wickliffe. I started out in sales, and then about 2008, I became assistant manager, and then in 2012, I became store manager up until AES closed back at the end of July. And I felt that DX Engineering was a good natural fit given my background. And I've already ran into some, well, I wouldn't call them old customers, but customers that I had at AES, and we were surprised to see each other. But, you know, we're all friends in this hobby, so I'm glad to still be involved in the industry.
Now, how did you get started in ham radio?
When I was a teenager, I was into CB. And one of my friend's father had his ham license. He had an original 706 ICOM. And that kind of got me interested, especially with 10 meters being open a lot back in the late 90s. And I got my technician license, and then about a year later got the general when it was still 5 words a minute, and then got extra in 2003.
Wow. Boy, that's a pretty quick development of going from tech all the way to extra. But now, what bands and modes do you like, Mike?
I like 80 meter and 40 meter phone primarily. I like to just listen a lot, especially in the evenings. I like to listen to the different nets. I do operate a HF station out of home. I have a wire dipole. Don't have too much property in the backyard, but it's enough to get on the air. What I like to tell customers that are getting in the hobby on HF is that you don't need much. You can throw out a piece of wire and work the world.
And it is pretty incredible. Now, you've got a lot of experience with a lot of different radios, especially the whole gambit of VHF, UHF radios. You know, when you think about programming, and so I'm sure you get a lot of customer questions about various radios and how to set them up.
Yes, that's correct. Most customers are concerned with programming, and there is the software available, but you also want to be able to know how to program your radio on the fly. So if you're out at a public service event or just in the field and you don't have the manual with you, you've got to know how to put in another memory channel, or how to put in a different PL tone. And a lot of the entry level, let's say 2 meter 440 handhelds, are still pretty simple to program.
And how about in the time that you've been involved in the hobby, you know, 15, 16 years, how have you seen radios progress? You know, what sticks out in your mind?
Well, when we look at the HF side, I can remember when I got in to selling them, guys were always asking for extra filters. Nowadays, they're all built in digitally. So that's one thing where it's changed. If we look at the color touchscreen in a lot of them, like the Yaesu 991 or the ICOM IC7300, they're a lot more intuitive, especially for people that are used to working with a smartphone or a tablet. And a lot of these radios you can just sit down in front of and start operating.
So that has progressed nicely here as time has gone on. And so what sort of advice do you give new hams that have just gotten a license or just starting out?
I try to tell them don't be overwhelmed. Don't be scared by the cost of some of these radios. You can have a lot of fun with a radio for around $1,000. The way they're making the receivers in them nowadays is great with the built-in DSP and the digital filtering. And eventually, if you want to get a higher end radio, you've got a spare. You don't have to sell it because most hams have more than one radio.
Well, that is very good advice, that as time goes on and you progress, you don't necessarily have to sell some of these radios that have a lot of utility to them. And I know I speak for all of us here at DX Engineering that we're very excited that you're here. You found a good home at DX Engineering, and we all look forward to working with you, and I'm sure the viewers look forward to talking to you on the phone.
I look forward to that also. Thanks for having me, Tim.
All right. Thanks for watching another edition of DX Engineering Videos. 73 for now.